We're Team 365 and we're going to present a credit research report on Bharti Airtel. Bharti Airtel is a telecommunication services company with its headquarters in New Delhi, India. It is listed on Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. Looking at the business segments, Bharti Airtel is the second largest network services provider in India and third largest network services provider in the world, with a customer base of over 438 million users. Wireless services in this segment, Bharti Airtel was the first 4G service provider in India, and now they are investing in 5G services. The other segments include Airtel Business, Home Services, Payments Banks. Airtel Payments Bank was the first payment bank to be launched in India in 2017. Other segments are digital TV services and tower infrastructure. A positive factor for Bharti Airtel is that none of its major business segments are impacted by the economic cycles. Now, looking at the segment-wise share to the revenue, we can see that mobile services in India contributes majorly to the revenue with over 51% share. When we look at the mobile services in Africa, it has a contribution of over 22%. The next major chunk comes from Airtel Business, which is over 13%. When we look at the global operations, Airtel provides services to over 20 countries in South Asia and Africa. When it comes to coverage, it covers 24% of the world population. Now, in India, it covers 95.3% of the Indian population. Now, looking at the other business segments of Airtel, mobile services in Africa. Airtel provides services to over 14 African countries with a customer base of 80.1 million. A decrease in OPEX by 9.2% has led to an increase in EBITDA margin from 24% in the last fiscal year to 34% this year. The average revenue per user, that is ARPU, has fell by 1.8% to $3 on. Looking at the next business segment, that is Airtel Business, it has a network running with a radius of 250,000 kilometers in 50 countries and 5 continents. Next segment is that of tower infrastructure. It has a network of 91,500 towers in collaboration with Indus Towers Limited. Supported by increasing data usage and schemes like Digital India and Bharat, this sector has a positive outlook in the coming years. The last segment is that of home and digital services. In this segment, Airtel enjoys a market share of 21%.
Now coming to the segment-wise performance, the mobile services in India contribute approximately 96% of the total customer base of Bharti Airtel. But this segment has seen a revenue growth of -18% and an EBITDA growth of -34% over the last fiscal. The mobile service in Africa has seen a revenue growth of 5% and a very impressive EBITDA growth of 45%, which means it's a potential future global market for Airtel. All other businesses except the home service have seen positive revenue and EBITDA growth. Now coming to the analysis of telecom in India, one flourishing sector, its dynamics have completely changed after the entry of Reliance Jio. Firstly, we have seen a multiple exits in this sector, including that of Arcom and Airtel. As a result of these exits, the sector has become very consolidated. And as a result of this consolidation, we have seen the increased price war among the incumbent players. And as a result of these price wars, the overall ARPU for the sector has been continuously declining for the last 2 years. Secondly, as the incumbents are seeking to match the Reliance Jio's offering, this has led to the creation of very similar voice and data plans, which ultimately have led to a very low switching cost for the consumers. For now, the avenues for the future growth of the industry are very limited and which will be driven by the increased consumption in the 4G data. The drivers for the increased consumption of 4G data are affordable smartphones and data packs which are available in the market. We expect that in the future, there will be a complete migration from the existing 2G and 3G services to the 4G services by the fiscal year ending 2023. Now coming down to industry-wide financial, we see that the decline in the subscriber base has led to the decline in industry-wide ARPU as well as the EBITDA margin. Adding to the industry's woes, there has been a continuous decline of about 6 to 7% in the subscriber base for its wireline services. And the future strategy for the industry will be, firstly, the subscription for the OTT services like that of the Amazon Prime and Netflix, and offering of bundled services and financing schemes in partnership with the mobile phone vendors. Now coming to the financial analysis, first we cover the liquidity and coverage ratio. For computation of industry average, we have included Bharti Airtel, Vodafone Idea and Reliance Jio, as these three have combined market share of approximately 90%. We observe that the current ratio for Bharti Airtel as well as the industry has improved, but the current ratio is still less than 0.1 or 0.5, which is a significant liquidity issue. Also, the times interest earned is less than 1, which signifies the difficulty in paying the outstanding interest expense. And for Bharti Airtel, its working capital turnover is less than the industry average, which also signifies a difficult liquidity position.
So coming on to operational profitability analysis, net profit margin for Bharti Airtel have seen a decreasing trend line. Before the entry of Jio, net profit margin for Bharti Airtel was around 10 to 15%, which drastically fell with the entry of Jio to minus 15% in fiscal year 17 and 0% in fiscal year 18. Also, the asset turnover ratio and EBITDA margin have also reduced. The major reason behind this decline was the low prices offered by Bharti Airtel for the mobile services, which led to the price fall in the industry. So coming on to the next slide, CapEx productivity and OpEx productivity have also reduced. Also, the free cash flow to firm and debt service coverage ratio have seen a decreasing trend with a slight improvement in fiscal year 18 with respect to fiscal year 17. But still, the debt service coverage ratio is negative, which is a serious concern for Bharti Airtel. Coming on to the capital structure, though the total debt for Bharti Airtel has increased over the years, but its proportion with respect to assets has reduced. So, their total debt ratio was 0.5 in fiscal year 18 with respect to 0.7 in fiscal year 14, which is a good sign. But on contrary, their cash flow from operations to total debt have seen a decreasing trend in the same period, which shows their inability to service the debt. And the net debt to EBITDA has also increased, which is again not a good sign for Bharti Airtel. In total, by analyzing all the financials, we can say the low current ratio, low operating efficiency, high finance cost, negative ROA, and decreased ability to service the debt. All these led to the negative outlook on Bharti Airtel, which is not favorable for them. Now coming on to the management and corporate governance and pondering upon various factors, we have seen they have various decision committees, out of which major and important ones are Audit Committee, Stakeholders Relationship Committee, Corporate Social Responsibility Committee and Risk Management Committee, with one additional and special committee of Airtel Corporate Council. Their board member comprises of 11 members with a chairman, managing director and CEO, and 3 non-executive directors and 6 independent directors. Also, all these board members have high experience in various fields, and out of these 11 members, 2 are women representatives. And all these things conforms with the Provision Act of Company. All these things conform with the provision of the Companies Act 2013. Now, last year we have seen an average attendance of 70% in their board meetings, and CRISIL has also given them highest corporate and governance and value creation rating for corporate governance practices, and remuneration policies is also on the basis of rewarding performance. The company has followed a whistleblower policy, and the promoters holding last year was 67.14%. All these things and our analysis on management and corporate governance shows a strong and good corporate governance practices being followed by Bharti Airtel over the years.
Now we will look at the credit rating methodology for Bharti Airtel that we have followed. So we have followed an 8-point rating system in which we have given each factor a rating from 1 to 8 and weights as well. So for our analysis, we have divided the credit rating into 3 verticals. The first one is the business outlook, which we have given 30% weightage. In business outlook, we have diversification, industry outlook as well as the competitive position. For the second vertical, which is the financial strength, we have given a rating weight of 50%. In that, we have liquidity and debt coverage, capital structure and operational efficiency. The third one is policy standards, which we have given 20% weightage, in which we will look at the management track record and corporate governance of Bharti Airtel. Now we will look at the business outlook segment of credit rating. The first sub-factor is diversification, which we have given a
weightage of 20%. We can see that Airtel is a fairly diversified business with operations in Asia as well as Africa, and due to the advent of over-the-top services such as in the subscription of Netflix and payments plan, we can see that Airtel is doing very good in this diversification sector. So we can assign it a rating of 7 out of 8. Now looking at the industry outlook, which we have assigned a weightage of 40%, we can see that the companies in this sector are relying on 4G data usage, OTT services, and they are tying up with the handset providers so that they can increase their market share. But due to the high competitiveness and industry-wide revenues falling and the limited avenues for the companies in telecommunication sectors, we can assign it a score of 4 out of 8. The third one is the competitive positioning. We know that Bharti Airtel is operating in this sector since 1995 and still has a market share of approximately 30%. But since the advent of Reliance Jio and the merger of Vodafone Idea, there has been some decline in its market share. So we are assigning it a rating of 6 out of 8. Now looking at the second pillar of credit rating methodology, that is the financial strength, which we gave a weightage of 50%. In that, the first subsection is liquidity and debt coverage, which we have assigned a weightage of 40%. We can see that the current ratio and the interest coverage ratios have increased from fiscal year 18 to fiscal year 17, but both are still less than 1, which shows the poor liquidity status of Bharti Airtel. Also, the working capital turnover ratio has been less than the industry average, hence we are assigning Bharti Airtel a score of 2 out of 8 in liquidity and debt coverage. Moving on to the second subsection of financial strength, we can see, which is the capital structure, we are assigning it a weight of 30%. We can see that the total debt to asset ratio is falling, which is good. But the falling of cash flow from operation to total debt shows the Bharti Airtel's inability to service its debt. That has been substantiated by the fact that they have increasing net to debt EBITDA ratio. Hence, we are assigning Bharti Airtel a score of 4 out of 8 in capital structure because high debt in certain business environment poses a risk to the business. The third factor is the operational efficiency, which has weight of 30%. We can see that the Bharti Airtel's ARPUs has been falling from 132 in fiscal year 17 to 19 in fiscal year 18. Also, the company shows the decline in the total asset turnover ratio, which shows the fall in operational efficiency. Also, the twin effect of these two factors, we can see that there has been decline in net profit margin and ROE of Bharti Airtel. Hence, we are assigning it a score of 3 out of 8. Combining all these factors, we can assign a weighted score of 2.9 out of 8 to financial strength. Moving on to the third pillar of our credit rating methodology, policy standard, which we gave the weightage of 20%. This is a qualitative factor that we have included, and the first subsection is management track record, which we gave the weightage of 30%. We can see that the company is moving in the right direction and is professionally managed and chaired by Mr. Sunil Bharti Mittal and forms a part of diversified Bharti enterprises. Also, Mr. Gopal Mittal has been serving as CEO since 2013 and has helped company excelling through business different stages. Hence, we assign it a score of 7 out of 8. Moving on to the second subsection, that is the corporate governance, which we have given a major weightage of 70%. The company has maintained a very good corporate governance standards with good representatives from both independent and non-executive directors on the company's board. Also, the company has received the highest rating for the corporate governance by CRISIL. Hence, we are assigning it a perfect score of 8 out of 8. Combining all these factors, we can see that the policy standard has a weighted score of 7.7 out of 8 for Bharti Airtel. Now, coming to the most important section of our presentation, we will calculate the credit rating of Bharti Airtel. What we will do is, we will multiply the total score with the total weightage for each of the parameters, and then we will calculate the weightage score for Bharti Airtel. For business outlook, we can see the total score is 5.4 with the weightage of 30. For the financial strength, score is 2.9 with overall weightage of 50%. The policy standard has 7.7 score with a weightage of 20%. The calculations come out to be 4.61 out of 8 credit rating for Bharti Airtel. By looking at this table, we can see that this 4.61 is more toward the BBB side, and hence we can conclude that Bharti Airtel business is moderately unstable. So we are Team 365 and we presented you the credit research for Bharti Airtel. Thank you.